All right. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for being here today. My name is Lieutenant Tyrone Broxton. I am the Diversity Recruitment Specialist for the Office of Admissions here at the United States Merchant Marine Academy. I do have a midshipman coming. I hope she makes it over here soon to speak with you all. But I'll just give you a little bit of background about myself and what it is that I do. I'm one of the admissions officers here, and my personal primary responsibility is to increase our awareness and enrollment nationwide amongst minorities, females, and recruited athletes. So I work specifically, I work with all students, but I work specifically on a case-by-case basis with all of our minority candidates and assist with women and also recruited athletes as well. Travel all around the United States of America, trying to get the word out about the United States Merchant Marine Academy. We're one of the 5 federal service academies, and that's why you're here today for Service Academy Day. So thank you very much for joining us and learning about the academies. The unique thing about the Merchant Marine Academy, unlike our counterparts or our sister academies, is that we are the only institution, the only service academy that will allow you the opportunity to do what it is that you want to do upon graduation. Let me say that one more time. We're the only service academy that will allow you to do what it is that you want to do upon graduation. For those of you who are aspiring of going active duty, when you graduate from the Merchant Marine Academy, you can go into any branch of the service of your choosing. That includes the Army, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Marine Corps, the Navy, the National Guard, the Air National Guard, and even the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. All right, so every single branch of service is on the table for you. And over the course of 4 years, if you're looking to go active duty, you have an opportunity to mature, to develop, to grow into a leader, and to do some research and do some hands-on feeling out through the process of figuring out what branch is best for you and what branch you are best for. So that's one of the biggest lures of the institution. For a kid that wants to go active duty, I always say, I'll meet a kid, for instance, and I always joke with the kids that come here for an official visit to the academy, and they'll say, well, I'm applying to West Point and I'm applying to the Air Force, but I want to be an Air Force officer. So I always ask them, I say, well, what the heck are you applying to West Point for? Because you can't be an Air Force officer there. It always, the kid always gets a little bit perplexed because, it's a common sense answer. If you want to go in the Air Force, why would you be also applying to West Point if you want to be an Air Force officer? So they don't have to worry about that question here. At this institution, if they want to go into the Air Force upon graduation, they can be sworn in as a second lieutenant in the Air Force. Now, that's from the military standpoint. Our mission isn't necessarily to cultivate a military officer for the Air Force and for the Army and for the Navy and so forth. That's not the core, or that's not why we're really truly in existence. The reason why we're truly in existence is to cultivate merchant mariners. Merchant mariners or merchant marines are suppliers of goods that explore the seas. 90% of the goods that travel all around the globe, 90% of those goods travel on the water. So they're on container ships, in containers. A lot of those containers you see traveling on the road, on trucks. They're on tankers. They are on tugs and barges, cruise ships, for instance. Merchant mariners are taking you from, the ports the nearest port that you live nearby to that destination that you're going to for a vacation or whatever the case may be. So we're training individuals to work aboard ship and to work on ashore. So working aboard ship means that you would be trained to become a captain eventually of a ship, or you start out as a third mate. So you're learning how to navigate, you're learning how to operate the vessels. And when you graduate from this institution, you actually graduate with what is referred to as a United States Coast Guard license, and that license enables you to sail aboard any ship of any size, tonnage, or speed. So believe it or not, when you graduate from this institution, you're more qualified to operate the USS Ronald Reagan than a kid that went to Annapolis, okay, because they don't get the same training that our midshipmen get here. And then also from the engineering standpoint, you're working on power plants the size of, Shaquille O'Neal, length and height, so that's really what we're training you to do in a nutshell. When you graduate from the institution, again, we are focused on you becoming a merchant mariner and working in this industry to serve our nation. When you think about it, like I said, 90% of the goods come from all travel the globe on ship. and we import more than any other nation in the world, which means that a lot of goods are coming from all over the globe to the United States of America. So we need licensed, seasoned mariners to transport those goods and those items to and fro, from our oil, our natural gas. I mean, you name it. Our iPhones, our Air Jordans, our iPads, our computers, our televisions, the automobiles. In some cases we have some manufacturing here in the country, obviously. Whatever may be, whatever product is being assembled here in the States, at one point, in most cases, some of the raw materials may have very well come from another nation. So how do they get here to this country? They travel on ship, and then when they come to this country, to our shores, they go off the ship and they go onto truck, and they go onto train, to eventually get to the final destination, being the store where you would go and pick up that item. So the merchant marines were very instrumental to both the economy. We're also very instrumental to our military. From a military standpoint, merchant marines are vital because we do the logistics for the military. A lot of people don't realize. Think about it. You go, we're fighting a war, finishing up in Afghanistan. Just recently had issues, Iraqi freedom in Iraq, and the Persian Gulf War prior to that, and then you can go back even beyond before that and go to Korea and Vietnam and World Wars II and World War One. How did our troops and our soldiers, how did they get their weapons, their bombs, their bridges, their tanks, their meals ready to eat, their water, so forth and so on? How did they get all those items? Well, it went on a ship and it got there. And during World War II and World War One, more merchant mariners perished from a ratio standpoint than any other branch of service. Back in the day, it was a little bit of a different story. They were kind of sitting ducks, and a lot of Akulas took out merchant mariners, understanding the significance in what they were doing. It's kind of like an offensive lineman. That's what I like to compare the merchant marine to. If you don't have your guys blocking up front for you, opening up the holes and giving your quarterback a pass protection, and guess what? Your specialty players, being the quarterback, the running back, the wide receivers, the tight end, the guys that typically score the touchdowns, they can't do their job. And so I like to compare the merchant marine to the offensive line in football, and then you got your quarterback in the Army and the Marine Corps, and the running back, the wide receivers in the Air Force, the tight end in the Navy. So without that offensive line, those guys can't do their job, and the same thing applies in the merchant marine. Without in the military, without the merchant marine, all of our specialty branches cannot do their job. They can't execute because they don't have their logistics, they don't have their supplies. You can have the greatest strategy in the world to win a war, if you're in a conflict, but if you don't have what you need in terms of your personnel, your supply, your food, your oil, so forth, so on, that it really becomes a moot subject in terms of trying to become a victor in whatever struggle or conflict that you may be in. So hopefully I did a good enough job there, talking a little bit about what we are and who we are. The one thing that I will also point out, and during your time here, you're really exposed to everything. Every branch of service is here on campus. So the Army, the Air Force, the Coast Guard, the Navy, the National Guard, Air Guard, all those branches are here. We have liaison officers here. We even have a Coast Guard station on campus, crying out loud. So you are literally exposed to every single branch, and you'll get a chance over the course of your 4 years to really navigate through those branches and see, if this is something that you want to pursue. One thing that you're allowed to do is participate as you almost call it a recreational activity to some extent, where you'll be a part of the option program. For instance, Marine Corps option. They wake up at maybe 04:30 every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and they do their PT and whatever training and classroom work that they need to do prior to getting to breakfast at around 0600 and getting ready to start their day. So the same thing goes, obviously the Navy. We have Navy Science Department here. So if you're interested in the Navy, then they'll prepare you for all the different military occupational specialties that is afforded to you there. Same with the Air Force, the Army, so forth, so on. So everything's here on campus. Navy SEALs option as well. Some kids come here thinking they want to be a Navy SEAL, so they participate in Navy SEALs option, and they get beat down, and we'll see who's left standing. And those individuals, we had 2 individuals that graduated this year that actually went SEAL, and they were commissioned officers, and they went SEAL. So you got a lot of different choices here, but you also are exposed to the maritime industry industry. Each and every one of our midshipmen travels the globe their sophomore and junior year. None of our counterparts can say that. No other school in the country can say that. It's the quintessential study abroad program. You're actually going to see the world. You'll be working aboard commercial ships, so you'll be on tugs, tankers, cruise ships, container ships, military Sea Lift Command ships, actually participating in military operations where you're replenishing ships that are out there on deployment. Really cool things you get a chance to do. The midshipmen are paid. They're actually paid employees for those vessels, which are all commercial. So you're actually going to have real work on your resume that you actually did, and you're actually going to have a boss, being the captain of the ship if you major in transportation and want to eventually become a captain one day, or the chief engineer aboard the vessel as well. So our midshipmen get paid around a little over $1,000 a month. You work an 8-hour shift per day. When you get into port, if the timing allows, you will get an opportunity to explore that nation for as long as you may be in port for a couple of days. So you get 2 days to go out and explore and enjoy the culture of, let's say, a Singapore or a Japan or whatever the case may be. 10 to 25 countries on average our midshipmen get a chance to go to during their sea year, which is 1 year. It spans 4 months for their sophomore year, and then 8 months during their junior year, or referred to as the third class year for the sophomore, or second class year for the junior. Again, 12 months you're out to sea, and you get exposed to this industry. So here you are, your senior year, you've been exposed to the maritime industry, you've been exposed to all the branches of service, and then you figure out what it is that you want to do. So it's a wonderful opportunity for you to kind of learn yourself first before being told, having your future decided for you before you even step into the gate. We don't do that. We actually allow you to explore and learn and develop yourself while we're training you for a career in the maritime industry, mind you. So the curriculum is really specific to the maritime career. However, you don't have to go that route if you choose not to. You can go active duty in any branch of service. All right, I think I filibustered enough. Just wanted to kind of give you a little background. Now's your time to ask questions. So please fire some questions away, and I'll answer as many as I can within the time that I have allotted left, which looks like I got about 38 minutes, I think 38 minutes to go. So please fire away questions. I don't want this to be a one-way conversation. Although you can't speak to me, you can speak with your fingers, and I will read your question. I will answer your question to the best of my ability. So please start firing some questions. I do have one I'll get to, but I got 9 folks in here. Hopefully we have a few more that join us, but please fire some questions away, and ask as many as you can. I'll keep it to you straight. I'll tell you what needs to be told. I'm not going to try to, beat around the bush about anything. I'm going to give you straight answers, so please fire some questions at me, all right? The first question that I have here, let's see. I don't have a name of this individual, but this person says, I want to be commissioned as an officer for a consolidated divers unit. I want to pursue a career in diving. Can graduating from this academy help me? Okay, that's a little bit of a broad question. I'm not sure if you're specifying any particular branch, but yes, I mean, again, every branch of service is afforded to you. So if you're looking for something specific, I can't give you a specific answer to that. However, you would work with a liaison officer for the branch of service that you're interested in, or as many that offer diving. Obviously, the Navy will come to mind. So that would be something you would definitely want to go to the Navy Science Department and ask them that question specifically. So you can call and get that question specifically answered, and they can give you a plan of attack as to how you will go about and what opportunities are there for you. I personally, I've been here for 8 years now, about 7 in admissions. I don't personally know anyone who went the diving route, but I know that options are plentiful and afforded to you. So it may have just not been anyone who's been interested in going that route. But if you're interested in going that route, then you'll definitely work with the liaison officer, see what options are there for you, and then pursue those options and follow their plan of attack in order to be eligible for that. But answering that even more so, kind of taking it another level, We do have a diving program here, a club, so a lot of the kids go, and some kids are coming here already certified. So we do have a club here, so that club could probably help out in some regards to maybe getting some additional certifications that you may need for going that direction in a branch of service that affords you the opportunity to do that. So I can't give you a direct answer to that because, again, my experience and knowing anyone who's gone that route is minimal. So you probably want to contact our Naval Science Department. So you can just call the Academy, just call a toll-free number, go to our website, find the number, call and ask to speak to someone in Naval Science, and they can definitely give you an exact answer as to how, if that is if you wanted to go Navy, of course, as to how you can become a Navy diver. I'm not sure if the Coast Guard has any of those billets, but I know the Navy does. So that may be, hopefully, that answers your question, and I would contact Navy Science, and they can give you an exact answer to that specific question. I appreciate that question, though. All right, we're going to move on to a person named Kelly. Kelly, I appreciate you being on with me. Kelly asks, can you please tell me what a typical day is like? All right, well, I think the typical day at the academies are pretty much the same for the most part. So you probably get a lot of redundancy with this answer. All right, let me just run down the schedule. Okay, hopefully that helps you out, Kel. Let's see. Okay, now I know most kids. I'm here at 0500 for working out, so I'm up. I live maybe about 25 minutes away from the academy. So an academy is in Long Island, New York. If I didn't mention that, we're in Long Island, New York. We're about 3 miles outside of Queensboro. Queens, you know, if you're into hip hop, LL Cool J, 50 Cent, they're from Queens. Citi Field, where the Mets play. Arthur Ashe Stadium, the U.S. Open. So we're literally 15 minutes from there. And LaGuardia Airport will be the closest airport. We're 20 miles east of Manhattan. You can actually see the Manhattan skyline from our waterfront. So we're located on the north shore of Long Island. And we're about 83 waterfront acres, I believe is the exact. But back to Kelly's question. All right, what's a typical day? So let's say I'm here at 5 o'clock. I work out with my buddy who's a former Marine and a tactical officer here. And by the time we get to the weight room after our 3 to 5 mile run, it's probably pushing, let's say, 5:30, 5:40. So we're in a weight room for about a half an hour, and there's a ton of midshipmen already down there working out. So you got some dedicated men and women down there, you know, getting their fitness on. Some athletes may have a practice or two going on. I know a couple days ago, volleyball had an early practice. I'm not sure why, but they did. So they had an early practice at 5 o'clock in the morning. So you got some activity going on around the 5 o'clock hour. PT, maybe some option programs, Army option for kids that are looking to go that route and they're, you know, getting their feet wet with the Army. Marine Corps options normally up at that point in time. We may have PEP going on, so we may have a couple of kids that failed their fitness test for whatever reason. So they get punished and they have to do PEP. So they're up in the morning and doing some PT and getting tested and all that stuff. So a lot of that's going on around the 5 o'clock hour. So pretty much from 5 o'clock to maybe about 6:15, a lot of physical stuff happening. So thereafter, about 6:15 to 6:50 in the morning, we got a morning mess. So pretty much folks are showering, shaving, putting their uniform on, putting their PT gear on, and getting that much needed breakfast. Because trust you me, you're gonna need some energy for the day ahead. All right, 6:55 to 7:10, there's daily inspection happening. So some inspections are extraordinarily thorough. Some are just a quick look in. You know, they're looking in a room. They're trying to see, okay, is everything squared away? You know, they're not necessarily doing a white glove test, but they're just kind of making sure that everything's looking as it should. All right, 7:20 is when we have colors. We actually are the only service academy with a regimental marching band, so our band is outside. They're strumming it up, getting everybody patriotic, getting ready to go, raise the flag. We actually have the tallest flagpole in the nation. I think it stands at 175 feet. Don't quote me on that, but it's something in that area. Okay, so 7:20, 0720 hours, we got colors. Okay, and then at 7:45. We have first period that goes to 8:40, 8:50 to 9:45. We have second period. So these are classes now. All right, 9:55 till 10:50 we have third period. 11 o'clock to 11:55 we have fourth period. Okay, people go back to their rooms, do what they got to do. 12:10 is when we have muster. All right, so all the midshipmen go out. They're accounted for. They go outside of the barracks we have like a large square area where everyone forms up. They march into the mess hall, and then lunch is served from 12:20 to 12:50. Lunch is family style. That means like a family, you sit down at the table and food's there and you pass it around. Freshmen go pick up seconds and thirds and get more drinks if needed. So that's part of the freshmen's duties or plebes' duties. But breakfast and dinner is buffet style. And breakfast and dinner, you can sit with whom you like. So, you may sit with a classmate, you may sit with a teammate, someone in your platoon, someone within your company, whatever the case may be. All right, or maybe you just have breakfast or dinner by yourself. Let's see. Okay, so after lunch we had 1300 to 1355. That's 1 o'clock to 1:55. We have fifth period, and then we from 1405 to 1500, which would be 205 to 3 o'clock, is sixth period, and then 1505 to 1600, which is 305 to 4 o'clock. That would be seventh period. In a lot of cases, that last period, seventh period, probably got some labs going on. Normally that's what's transpiring at that point in time. Pretty much for the most part, everyone's day is done at about 1500 rather, which is again 3 o'clock, and folks are getting ready for practice, getting ready to work out, going for their runs, whatever the case may be, getting ready for clubs or activities that they're involved in, maybe going to study directly, going to see professors, whatever the case. So you kind of got a little bit of some break in between dinner. So for the most part, dinner is served, if I'm not mistaken, I think around 16, around 6, no, dinner is served, evening mess, here we go, 1730 to 2000 hours, so you're looking at 5:30 till about 8 o'clock is when dinner is served. So some of the later dinner is going to be served for folks that are participating in some type of intercollegiate varsity sports. So obviously football practice, soccer practice, volleyball practice, so forth, so on. Some people eat earlier. There may be a contest here on campus, so it all depends on what your schedule is as to when you eat dinner. Thereafter, after dinner, for the most part, you're on to study halls, labs, tutoring sessions, getting with some of your classmates and doing some work together, homework. You may have some regimental activities that you have to do in the evening. So the evenings is kind of like a potpourri of a bunch of things that's happening. Pretty much lights are out unofficially at 2200. So you figure at 10 o'clock you're in your room. Lights don't necessarily have to be out. So you don't have to shut it down and go to bed. A lot of kids are up till 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning in some cases, writing a paper, studying, doing homework, but they're in their room. So pretty much everyone's designated to their room at about the 10 o'clock hour. So for the most part, you're in your room, or you're in a designated area where you're studying within the company barracks, and obviously you're accounted for so people know where you are. That's pretty much the day in a nutshell. And then you do it all over again the next day, and then the same day after that. In terms of liberty, when you get a chance to get off campus, that varies. It all depends on what's happening within the regiment. For instance, I'm just going to go with upperclassmen. I'm not even going to talk about freshmen right now. Upperclassmen liberty may, be offered on Friday, let's say at the end of the school day, so around 1500, 1600 hours. They may get a couple hours off campus, and then on the weekends it varies per class. So seniors kind of get a little bit more leeway than juniors, get more than sophomores, and then the sophomores obviously get more than freshmen. And freshmen, you're at the discretion of the commandant. So whatever his mood is, it determines when you're able to get off campus. Freshmen, for instance, long story short, you may get 4 hours off campus, 6 hours off campus on Saturday. So let's say they let you off campus at 12 o'clock and you got to be back here at 6. So that means that you have about an hour travel back and forth from New York City to play it safe. So you got maybe 3.5 to 4 hours in the city. I would probably call it more so at 3, just to make sure you're back here on time. For accountability. So it all varies as to when you can get off campus. That's something that you'll worry about once you get here. So Kelly, I hope I answered your question for you. Thank you for it. All right, if you have more, please feel free. Okay, so that was Kelly. I'm moving on to the next person. All right, this person's unnamed, but thank you for your question. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I'm interested in Navy. Oh, sorry, my name didn't show up. Oh, okay, this is the gentleman from the first. So yes, from the first question asking about Navy diving. You want to contact Navy Science because I can't give you any exact answers, but I would definitely call and ask for the Navy Science Department, and one of the instructors there most certainly can give you an exact answer as to how you can come to this institution and go that route if that's something that you want to do. So appreciate it again. All right, the clarification there. Okay, moving on to the next question. This is from Gene. Gene, I'm not sure if it's a guy or a girl, but thank you for your question. All right, when you graduate, what kind of degrees can you earn? Can you graduate with? Great question. I appreciate you asking. All right, we are limited in our majors. We're plentiful in our options when you graduate. Okay, can't say the same for our sister academies. You know, they're plentiful in majors, but in terms of your when you graduate, you're in that branch. Okay, and then obviously you're trying to vie for a particular billet. With us, we're plentiful in options, limited in majors. That's because the maritime industry is what we are training our midshipmen to go into. So obviously the curriculum is going to be catered for careers in the maritime industry, which is a trade-specific type industry. So you definitely have to be knowledgeable of the industry in order to work in it. All right. So our majors on the transportation side. Now, transportation here is referred to as deck. All right, DECK. That means that you're working in the bridge of the ship or working on the deck of the ship, so you're not in the engine room. All right, so deck officers would be the captain, first mate, second mate, third mate, and then any deckhands that you may have working for you. Um, so on the deck side, we have marine transportation, and then the major has been the second major has been rephrased, but the old name that you'll probably see maybe on the website will be logistics and intermodal transportation management. Again, logistics and intermodal transportation management will be the second major. So you have marine transportation, and the newly renamed major, which probably on the website still reads logistics and intermodal transportation management. All right, logistics is logistics. All right, think about what UPS and FedEx and DHL, what they do, the U.S. Postal Service. All right, they're in the logistics of transporting packages. We're in the business logistics of transporting military supplies, of transporting everything that you buy in a store. All right, because again, 90% of the goods travel on the water, and you have to have people seasoned to operate these vessels to carry all these hundreds of thousands of tons and trillions of dollars of goods on these vessels. So you have to have qualified personnel. All right, so again, marine transportation. Marine transportation would probably be best for a person who wants to be a captain of a ship. If you want to be a captain of a ship, I would highly suggest going marine transportation. If you're really into business, okay, then you probably want to go to what is formerly known as logistics and intermodal transportation management. It's now phrased or coined maritime security and logistics, or maritime logistics and security, one or the other. All right, so that's the new name of the major. Pretty much, long story short, that's an international business major with a hard skill being that you're learning nautical science. You're learning how to navigate ships, celestial navigation, terrestrial navigation, the science of driving a vessel. And again, when you graduate, you'll have that degree, and you'll also walk out with a United States Coast Guard license as a third mate. That means that you're a licensed officer working aboard a ship. That license enables you, as a transportation major, to sail aboard any ship of any size, tonnage, or speed. So if it floats on the water, you can operate it. Everything from the USS Ronald Reagan, I'm talking right out of school, to the Carnival Cruise Line, to the one of the Mayer ships, Captain Phillips is coming out, that movie. So that ship that you see in the movie, that's a container ship that they were on. All right, so you're qualified to operate that to a military sea lift command. I'm talking about straight up. Captain can go on break, you are in charge, and you will be straight up out of school. All right, still ears wet, still green, but you're qualified to operate that vessel, and you're competent to do it, and you have the credential that enables you to do so. All right, so that's transportation. Then we have engineering. There are three majors in engineering here. We have marine engineering. We have systems. Systems is a fancy word for architecture and design. And then we have shipyard management. That's pretty self-explanatory. All right, the engineering degree for all three of those majors are the core of that degree is civil, mechanical, and electrical. All right, so that's the core of the major. So those are the three basics. That's your holy trinity. Okay, and then if you're interested in architecture, then you're going to go systems. Systems is extraordinarily difficult. And then you have shipyard management. Okay, so that leads you to a variety of job opportunities out there, whether it be sailing or ashore. All right, what those majors offer you. Okay, so a lot of people say, okay, I majored in English communication. So what does that major offer me? What does that major offer you when you graduate in the maritime industry? Okay, the cool thing about this school is that, again, we're training you to work in the maritime industry. It's civilian. So you're going to go to a federal service academy. You're going to walk out with a civilian job to work in the maritime industry, either sailing or working ashore. And you're also going to be a reservist in the Navy as a strategic sea lift officer, okay, via the military sea lift command. All right, so that will be what your responsibilities are. You work for 5 years in the industry, and concurrently, you're going to work for a total of 8 years as a naval reservist. All right, you do 2 weeks a year annual training in the Naval Reserve while you work your full-time job. So that is a part of your obligation for your $250,000 education in a nutshell. So that's and ultimately what the majors are and what the majors offer you. You're guaranteed a job again. Starting salaries range between $55,000 to $90,000 to work in this industry. Okay, and if you sail, in all likelihood, you'll be exceeding six figures. I'm talking about $100,000 plus. In addition to that, your full-time job, you're also again a reservist in the Navy. You're classified as strategic sea lift officer, and you're a part of the military sea lift command, which is like the first cousin of the Navy. That's the logistical arm of our armed forces. Okay, I hope I answered your question. I went into a little bit more depth, but there's a total of 5 majors here specific to the maritime industry, 2 quadrants, or 2 sections rather: transportation, that's business, nautical science, driving ships. Okay, I'm putting this in layman's terms for you guys. And then engineering. That's it. Okay, a lot of kids say, hey, I want to major in philosophy or religion or anthropology or political science. Well, guess what? It's called a master's degree. Okay, maybe you're interested in medicine. Well, I know some students that came here, wanted to go into the medicine route, decided to work in the maritime industry. They took a sailing job with the military sea lift command, made approximately $145,000 to $160,000 a year. Okay, when they had some downtime off their ship. So all the jobs vary. Some ships you may be on 6 months out of the year. Some ships you may be on 3 months out of the year, or 3 months on, 3 months off. Some ships you're on the ship for 10 months out of the year. Okay, so but there's a lot of downtime depending on what ships you're working for. So let's say you're working on a ship for a company that sails 6 months out of the year. That means you have a 6 month vacation. You're making six figures, and mind you, you're also a reservist in the Navy. So you have your 2 weeks annual training. So you got 6 months vacation minus your 2 weeks for your annual training. So you have approximately 14 weeks off. Okay, so you take a biology or anatomy course to get that prerequisite under your belt, and you once you have all your prerequisites under your belt, you fulfill your obligation and you go on to medical school, and you pay your own way, literally out of pocket, cash. All right, so a lot of our, I know some midshipmen, some graduates rather, that have had that opportunity. They made a lot of money working in the industry, and I know one young lady, for instance, who's now in her residency. She went back home to Dallas. She worked ashore for about 3 years. She sailed for about 5 years. She had a nice bank account. Also, as a naval reservist, continues, in my understanding, she's gone past her obligation in the reserves, past her 8 years, so she's still doing that, and she's in medical school right now, paying out of pocket. How many kids get that opportunity? Get a service academy education and then they go on for another career and pay their own way, something like that. It costs a lot of money. Very rare. All right, so you have a lot of different opportunities here. So, again, didn't mean to go off on a tangent, but just kind of wanted to talk at large. All right, I'm moving on. Gene, appreciate your question. All right, hopefully I answered it for you. All right, Monica Green is next. Does the Academy offer varsity sports? Yeah, of course. We got 23 intercollegiate athletic programs. Let me see. You can go to our website, usmmasports.com, and you'll see the whole listing. Just going to run off some sports. If I don't name them all, that's why I'm telling you to go to the website, okay? You got to do some homework too. Football, I'm going men's sports. Football, cross country, track and field. Swimming and diving. Tennis, golf is a club, rugby is a club. Sailing, we have 3. We have offshore sailing, we have dinghy sailing, and then we have crew. What else do we have? Men's soccer. Women's soccer is a club. We have women's volleyball. Tennis is co-ed. Cross country, track and field, obviously. Diving and swimming. Trying to think. What else? Men's and women's basketball. Baseball. Softball has been discontinued. We have women's lacrosse, men's lacrosse. And that's all I can think of off the top of my head. Again, usmmasports.com, our acronym, plus sports, plural.com. And you can learn about the sports programs. All right, very successful. Coast Guard Academy is our arch nemesis. We also have another arch nemesis, which would be the Maritime, the State University of New York Maritime College, which is right across the Sound, the Long Island Sounds, the body of water that's just outside of us. It runs into the East River in Manhattan. So that's our other arch nemesis as well. Because we're a maritime school, so we do the same type of we do the same thing for the most part, except for we're the Federal Service Academy. So those are our two arch nemesis. We're Division III. We do compete against some of the small Division I institutions. For instance, our swimming and diving program, I think the men defeated Georgetown University a couple of years ago. Basketball competes occasionally against West Point and even Annapolis. So it all depends, on the sport. Wrestling competes against some small Division I competition. A lot of national champions here individually. No team national champions just yet, but not last year, but the year prior, and then a year prior to that. So we had back-to-back national champions in wrestling. Very successful programs. A lot of, and then I think we had just recently graduated a couple years ago. He chose to go Army National Guard. He was a two-time national champion in diving, if I'm not mistaken on that. It may have been more, but I know he won at least 2 national championships in diving. So some great individual athletes here, some great team athletes here, a lot of championship banners we have. So if you're interested in athletics, we got it for you. And if you're good, guess what? You're going to see the field. I can't say that at our counterparts. All right, but with our institution, being that we're a lower level in terms of division, we're a Division III school. Doesn't mean that we're lower in terms of talent. It just means that we're lower in terms of division. So try not to get all caught up in that. But if you are talented, you will see the field. I'm talking about as freshmen. All right, you can look on our website, look to see what year these kids are, and we got players of the week, and they're freshmen. Okay, so if you got some skill, you'll see the field. If you have some talent, you'll be on the team. There's only a handful of teams here that cut, and that's just because we can only have so much space on the roster. So definitely go to our website, visit. If you're interested in a sport, now we're recruiting kids from all over the United States, plus U.S. territories. So it's a lot on our coaching staff to try to recruit 50 states. And you may only have a staff of a head coach and assistant coach. So there's a lot on their plate in addition to coaching their team. So contact the coach. If you want to play, contact them. Okay, so you can go to our website, again, usmmasports.com, and you can click on email them or call them directly. Okay, you have to be proactive. All right, you're the one that's going to get the education, so you have to be proactive. Feel free to contact them. They will get back to you. All right, you can also fill out an inquiry form on the athletics page, I believe, and put your information in. So Monica, I hope I answered your question, and thank you for it. Moving on, Kelly. I think Kelly asked me a question already, but let me see. Can you tell me more about freshman duties? Freshman, pretty much. Long story short, Kelly, I can't give you all the insight in the world. That's a lot. But freshmen, you square corners everywhere you go. You run everywhere you go. You get food during lunch. So those are a few responsibilities that you have to do as a freshman. You say hello to every single soul that walks past you. Obviously, that's good to do regardless. But that's a part of what they have to do. A lot of spirit missions that they have to do throughout the course of the year. And then they also have to pass a series of plebe knowledge tests. You start as a plebe candidate when you arrive here. You go through 2.5 weeks of indoctrination training, so it's about approximately 16 days where where you are transformed from a civilian to a Merchant Marine Academy midshipman. And then right after that, classes start. So you arrive here the first week of June. Classes start at the end, or check that. First week of July, classes start at the end of July. And then you're underway. So it's very intense and very quick. Wham, bam. So you're recognized, or not recognized, you're sworn into the Naval Reserve, the first home football game. That's Parents Weekend. So that's the first time you'll see your family, which is going to be sometime in September. Luck had it this year, the first home football game. First weekend of September was perfect. So our kids got, they got a chance to see their families about 2 weeks ago. Sometimes the schedule doesn't allow that, and the first home football game could be at the end of the month. So it all depends on the schedule. So then you'll go from being a plebe candidate to a plebe. You'll be sworn into the Naval Reserve. Okay, that obligation does not officially kick in until your junior year. If you got kicked out or failed out, then you're obviously obligated to something. And when it comes to the government paying back or serving, if it didn't work out for you there. But you go through a series of things that you have to do. I can't really get into a lot of specifics about that. But hopefully I give you a little bit of insight, a little bit of a taste. If you come here for an official visit, you'll get a chance to see it firsthand, and then hopefully your question will be answered. So I'm going to leave that to you, Kel. All right, I'm gonna ask you, call you, get with your folks, and say, hey, I want to visit the Merchant Marine Academy. And worst come to worst, you guys get a chance to see New York City. Okay, so I'm not sure where you're calling from, Kel. But if your parents haven't been in New York, you can kill two birds with one stone. You get to see the city, and you get to visit the academy, and you can see firsthand what our freshmen experience and ask them for yourself. So I'm going to leave that to you. All right, so Kelly, I appreciate the question again. Moving on to our next question. This is from John Anderson. John, I appreciate the question. Is it safe to assume the environment at the USMMA is a bit of a hybrid mix between a regular university and the other service academies? No, no, no. It's not safe to assume anything. That's an incorrect assumption. If you want to call us a quasi-service military school, fine. I can deal with that. But it's not a mix between regular academy. I think you're more so thinking like ROTC. This isn't an ROTC type outfit where you can wear civilian clothes every day and then do maybe a couple of days of ROTC and you're in uniform. So completely different ball game. You're in uniform every day. It's a part of the regiment. You're under orders every day. It's the same as the other academy. Same environment, same stresses, same high demand. Where we differ is the fact that you're not under one regulation. Okay, we're training you to go into an industry that's civilian. However, you still have that military protocol, that military environment is upon you. That leadership training is all still there. So that bearing is there. All right. So again, you're being sworn in immediately early in your freshman year into the Naval Reserve. All right, so that obligation is already on you. Now, you can change that obligation if you decide to go active duty into another branch, or even stay in the Navy but activate into the Navy. So it would be wrong to assume that this is a mix or a hodgepodge. If you want to call it a quasi, that's fine, because again, we're not married to one branch of service per se. So that's where maybe I can see where you're maybe getting at, but it would be wrong to assume that we're not a service academy. That would be a wrong assumption. And again, I ask you to come for a visit, and then you can see and make that determination for yourself. But the answer to your question would be no. But again, you can see for yourself, and if you like the environment, then great. I think a lot of kids do like the fact that it is a little bit more, it's a little bit different, and there's maybe not a lax, but the fact that you have so many options afforded to you gives you so much more variety, where it's not just one branch. This is how we do things, and that's it, because you're exposed to so many different avenues. So you're exposed to multiple ways of how things get done. So hopefully I answered your question. Again, come for a visit, an official visit. Speaking of visits, as I get off for a second of answering questions, and keep them coming, you can come for a visit. Seniors are allowed to stay overnight, but you have to have part 1 and part 2 of the application in. You'll be here for about 24 hours. You'll be briefed in admissions, and then your host will come pick you up, and then you'll be with him or her for the rest of the afternoon into the evening, and then the next day you'll be leaving at noon. For underclassmen, so juniors on down, you can come for a day visit. Juniors can come for a day visit with a host, and sophomores. Freshmen, I believe, you can only come for a briefing. So I'm not sure if we have any freshmen here, but if you're interested in coming for an official visit to the academy, you call admissions, and you'll be instructed as what it is that you need to do. Again, if you're a senior looking to come here for an official visit, then you'll have to have part 1 and part 2 of the application completed. And you can call the admissions office. Again, all the information is on our website, so I need you to do a little bit of homework on your own and make the proper phone call and give us a buzz and set that up for yourself. Visits are Monday through Thursday during the week, Monday through Thursday. All right, again, we do day and overnight visits. Overnights are for seniors only. Next question. I'm going to go to the unnamed man. Actually, you know what? I'm going to skip the unnamed man, because I think it's the same young man asking me a lot of these questions. I'm going to go to Mr. Philip. Philip, how complicated would it be for an American citizen living outside of the U.S. Or its territories to apply and be accepted. It's not complicated at all. As long as you're an American citizen, you apply. You just make sure if you were born abroad, you give us your certificate of citizenship abroad. But you're doing the same things. I would hope you have a home of residence here in the States still, especially if you're military. You obviously would. If your father or mother are in the military, or maybe even your contract, you still should have a house here. So you would have to apply for a nomination where you live, or your house on, or your home on record with your United States senators for your state, and then your representatives, your congressman or congresswoman that covers your area. So same process. As long as you're an American citizen, there's nothing different. You have to get the application and complete it to us in full. You have to apply for a nomination. You have to do your medical, and you also have to do your physical fitness test as well. So there's no difference. I'm dealing with a lot of students right now who are abroad. I just met a kid last week, I think it may have been, who lives in Germany. Father was active duty in Germany, and he decided, instead of uprooting him and bringing him back to the States for his senior year, just to live in Germany for another year to allow his son to finish. And they came here for a visit 1 or 2 weeks ago. So that kid is doing the same thing. They have a home of record somewhere here in the States, and they're applying for their nominations and doing what it is that they need to do to make that young person eligible. So if you have any questions about that, obviously you can give us a call in admissions, and we can cover some specific questions that you may have. All right? So hopefully I answered your question, Philip. I appreciate it. Okay, I'm going to go to the unnamed person. All right, I'm in accelerated chemistry, and the teacher runs it like a college course, and it's bringing my class average down. Should I switch into general chemistry, improve my chances? We like to see kids that are challenging themselves, so I would just suck it up. Sorry to just say it like that, but I would just suck it up and work harder. Because you know what? When you come to an academy, guess what? You're going to have that college. They're going to have that same teacher teaching you the same way. So you might as well get some experience doing that. So it's going to be a challenge, but get as much help as you possibly can. I always tell the kids that I mentor, if you have a kid, if you're struggling, if you have a C and you have somebody that has and you have a buddy in the class, or maybe not even a kid that's a friend of yours, but they have an A, you may want to become friends with that person and see what it is that they're doing or how they're studying that can help you. So that would be my advice to you. But I would not, unless you're failing, of course, I would not dodge it. Obviously, there's weighted and unweighted, and we look at to see what level of courses you're taking. So, if you have a C in an accelerated course, an AP course, an IB course, an honors course, we're not gonna knock you on that. We're going to be happy that you challenge yourself. So, we look at those little intangibles. Now, if you have a D or a C or an F in a college prep course, now you got a problem. But if you're taking an accelerated course, we're going to actually tip our hat to you. But if you're failing that course, then you may want to make some considerations of going to another level, because obviously you don't want to get a D or an F. Okay, so I hope I answered your question. I appreciate it. Moving on, I have another question from I'm going to go to Rachel. I'm not sure if this unnamed person is the same person. So let's go to Rachel. I am first in my class in high school with a GPA. That's very nice. I am also graduating Phi Theta Kappa. Yada yada yada. I'm reading. I don't want to read it all. A 33 on my ACT, 94 on my ASVAB. Interested in my immediate educational opportunities, becoming an officer. What do you have to offer me through the academy, considering the 68 college credits I have already obtained? Well, Rachel, you're asking me a very tough question. You're talking about college credits that you already attained. I have no clue what those credits are. I'm going to try to answer your question. What we have to offer you, again, is every branch of service. I'm not sure when you came on board here. Every branch of service is offered to you. So you can choose what you want to do when you graduate. If you want to work in the maritime industry upon graduation, which we are training and preparing you for, you have a very lucrative job paying you while you're also a reservist in the Navy as a strategic sea lift officer. So we're offering you a myriad of options. If you go to our sister academies, you have no option. You have one option. That is, and that is that branch of service that they serve. For us, you can do what it is that you want to do. So if you like options, great. I like to compare the Merchant Marine to Supreme Pizza. Okay? If you like Supreme Pizza, this is the school for you. If you want to serve your country, this is the school for you. If you like cheese pizza, the other academies is probably more of your cup of tea. That's just how I like to spin it. All right? Seems like you're a very bright young lady. Obviously you are, from the numbers you've given me. I would apply. In terms of your college credits, some things may be accepted, some things may not. So for instance, calculus. If you're taking a calculus course in college, kudos, hats off to you, but you're taking calculus here when you arrive. So this should be an easy A if you're doing all right. So it all depends on the situation, and that's determined by our deans and our department heads or registrar's office as to what will be accepted and what won't be accepted. But it seems like you would be a strong candidate, so I highly suggest that you apply if you have yet to do so. Okay? But thank you for your question. I'm going to go back to the unnamed individual. For the Naval Academy, I've heard you have to be on at least 2 teams in high school, but I'm applying technical, yada, yada, yada. Is it okay? Yes. Okay, I got your question. Make a long story short, the other academies, you have to be on a set number of athletic programs in order to be a highly considered for a candidacy. Long story short, there's a young man who is here right now. I believe he is a second classman. Okay, he may be out to sea. I haven't seen him around campus, so he may be on his 4-month stint as a sophomore or a third classman out to sea. He was a thespian. That means that he was an actor. Okay, in high school, he was the lead actor in several productions. Didn't play any sports. His father was contracted overseas. Yada yada yada. Very smart kid and very into the arts. Guess what? He's a midshipman. I hope I answered your question. Obviously we want to see a well-rounded individual, but we're not going to knock you if you weren't a varsity athlete. That's just not how we do our business. We're looking for kids that come here with a lot of different talents and a lot of different backgrounds. As long as you are physically fit and you can handle and you're healthy, then you're okay. If you come here out of shape, and then there's going to be a serious issue. So we want kids that are mentally strong. So that young man came in here. He was in great shape. Okay, and he passed all of his physical fitness tests. He was medically sound, so we had no issues. But if you come here and you're overweight and you can't pass the physical fitness assessment or the candidate fitness assessment, then obviously you're not going to be admitted. No, we're not going to necessarily knock you if you're not a varsity athlete in high school. But we want to see you doing some things. We want to see you in community service. Maybe you're in the arts. Maybe you're in leadership, outside groups, so forth. So maybe you're very big in the band. We have a regimented band here, so we have a lot of kids that are all-state orchestra and this, that, and the third. But they weren't athletes because they were in a marching band and they were in the orchestra and the choir and so forth, so on. So those credentials give them some great points when we evaluate their file. So hopefully I answered your question there. We're not going to scrutinize or belittle you if you were not a varsity athlete. Hopefully you're in shape. All right? So thank you for your question, unnamed individual. Another one. As a sophomore in high school, what should I be doing to be competitive when applying? Sophomore. Right now, I would hope you're in geometry, if not geometry, algebra 2. By your junior year, you should be in trigonometry and or pre-calculus. By your senior year, pre-calculus and or calc. Do not take statistics over calculus or pre-calculus. Don't do it. Don't do it. Okay, because that's gonna take a few brownie points away from you. Because when you come here, you got no calculus background. You're taking calculus as a freshman, and it's a little advantageous to take stats. So please, if you don't take stats, take pre-calculus or calculus by your senior year. 4 years of math, 4 years of science is big. Physics and chemistry, you want to make sure you have that under your belt. I highly suggest you take your SATs and or ACT at least once. I would take them both. SAT once, ACT once by the end of your sophomore year. See where you stand, see what you need to work on, and then you got your whole entire junior year to take the test several times and take any type of additional courses that you need to take, any type of help or special classes that you can take to improve your scores, and then again, you have multiple times to take it your senior year. So that will be my plan of attack for you. Challenge yourself, take some honors courses, maybe some AP courses sprinkled in here and there. Don't just take college prep. Take some honors and AP courses. You have an opportunity to do that. So I hope I answered your question. Thank you for it. I think I answered everyone's questions. I'm going back to Rachel Davis. No, I answered Rachel's question. I think I got them all done. I think I got all the questions done that have been asked of me. I'm going to just scanning through here to make sure that I have not missed any questions. I believe I got everybody. Does anybody else have any additional questions? If you do, you have approximately 7 minutes to ask. All right, I'll stand by for the next 7 minutes to answer any questions that you may have that I may have not addressed. But again, just to summarize what we talked about, you can go into any branch of service here at the Merchant Marine Academy. We're training you to become a civilian and serve your country that way through the maritime industry. Okay, what we do is we deliver. All right, so everything that you have in your home, the automobile that you drove or your parents drove to your school today, the clothes on your back as we speak, the food that you're about to consume this evening. At one point in time, believe it or not, it was on a ship. Okay, whether in its full assembled form or in its raw material form, it traveled on a vessel. If it didn't travel on a vessel, it traveled on a truck, and it traveled on a train after traveling on a vessel to go to the store. Okay, so we're very instrumental to both our economy, and we're also very instrumental to our military because we handle the logistics for the military. If you ever watch National Geographic or one of those channels, there's a lot of channels, there's a lot of shows that kind of show you sea operations, and there's replenishing jobs going on, and they're showing you how they build ships or deconstruct ships. That's our business. That's what we do. And America does not operate functionally without a merchant marine, a strong merchant marine, and we don't win a war without a strong merchant marine. So we're very instrumental, although we're classified as civilians. Okay, you can't go on a cruise without a merchant marine. All right, your automobile from Japan can't get here without a merchant marine. Your iPod that's made in Taiwan or your Air Jordans made in Indonesia don't get here without a merchant marine. So we're very, very instrumental. The oil from Venezuela or Iraq or the Middle East doesn't come here without the merchant marine. All right, so we're very instrumental, and hopefully I painted at least a strong enough picture for you to understand the significance of what we do. And then from an active duty standpoint, every single branch of service is on the table. So you don't have to come here making a decision before you even know what you want to do, or thinking that you want to do something and then kind of realize that, oh my goodness, this isn't what I want to do. You got 4 years to figure it out, okay? Another question from Rachel, appreciate it again. Do you take the SMART scholarship? We do take scholarships. I'm not very, very familiar off the top of my head right now as to what the SMART scholarship is. I have to look that up. But we do take outside scholarships. There are fees that you have to pay. Now, your tuition is paid for by the taxpayer, so it's approximately $250,000 over the course of your 4 years. Okay, so if you want to break that down, it's like, if I'm not mistaken, that's around $60,000, something like that a year. It's a DoD scholarship. Thank you. If it's money and it can pay your fees, we'll take it. We'll take it. All right, so I'm not the financial aid guy, but no, seriously, if it's money and it's for your education, we will accept it. Now you will have $6,000 in fees outstanding. So if you have a scholarship, whatever it may be, whatever the name of the scholarship, Xerox. Hey, if you guys are interested in becoming engineers, go to Xerox.com. They have a scholarship, and I think you have until the end of the week to apply. So thank me later. But yeah, if you have some outside scholarships, that money can go towards your fees that you have. And again, the fees are around $6,000. That's total for your 4 years here. Okay, so $6,000 is what you will be paying out of pocket. Last thing that I'll touch on, as I have 3 minutes, so if you have another question, ask it. Last thing that I will touch on. Now, not everybody's a rocket scientist when it comes to the SAT and or ACTs. Okay, the minimum SAT scores, we actually do have minimums, is 24 on the ACT, at 24, 23 on the English, 24 on the math. Okay, the equivalent of that on the SAT would be a 540 on the math, on the verbal, and a 560 on the math. So SAT 540 verbal, 560 math. ACT equivalent would be 23 English, 24 math. Those are our minimums. If by chance you fall shy of the minimums, but you're within a reasonable proximity. All right, now if you got a 300 and a 300, then we got a problem. But let's say you were at a 500 on the verbal and a 510 on the math. Or you're on the ACT, you're at a 20 on the English and a 19 on the math. All right, and you have really good grades, and you have great extracurriculars, and you have a great essay, and maybe even came here for a visit, blah, blah, blah. We do have a prep school, okay? We select 40 students to go to our prep school. Okay, remember we only admit 300 a year, so we can't select 500 students to go to prep school. We select 40 kids to go to prep school, and those individuals may be a little bit shy on the SAT or ACT, and or maybe they have the test scores, however, they don't have the math class. So maybe they only took statistics, and they have no pre-calculus, or maybe they're a little bit shaky on the math. They got B's and C's in math, but everything else was good. So we'll look, it's a case-by-case basis, and we'll scrutinize it, and the kid has to really show us that they really want to be here, and blah, blah, blah. And if we like you, maybe we'll select you. And what that deal is that our students that are selected for prep school, the 40 kids, they get 1 year. And if they make the grades, so they're taking calculus and physics and chemistry and all kinds of meaty courses. If they make the grades and they have good deportment, that means they have no behavior issues. They will be appointed to the academy the following year. Okay, so every service academy has a preparatory school. We're no different. We utilize the New Mexico Military Institute for our prep school, and we send all of the 40 kids there. Last question. This is again from Rachel. Rachel seems to be very interested. Do students who have their AA come in as a transfer or as a freshman? Everybody that comes in here is a freshman. This is the last question that I will take. Everyone that comes here comes here as a freshman. All right. So we have a young lady who's a senior now who graduated from Georgia Mason. Okay, so she graduated, learned about she did an internship. The guy said, hey, you want to come and be a merchant mariner? You need to go to Merchant Marine Academy. She got accepted. She started as a freshman. She's a senior now. So everyone starts from scratch, to answer your question. Okay, I appreciate you all. I appreciate all your questions. I hope I answered them. I tried to the best of my ability with the time that we had. Visit our website. Continue to look at the portal. Visit our YouTube channel. It's all there in our booth. So please check out all the information, our sports page. Everything's on our booth. I'll be on for a live chat from 6 o'clock till 10 o'clock tonight. So I'm going to get home and I'm going to turn the computer on and I'll be right back there for you. So please, if you have any additional questions that I didn't answer during this hour, feel free to hit me up. In 1 hour, I will be back on. And we can discuss whatever it is that we may have missed. If you're a senior, get on the horn. Go to our website, start the application right now today. Okay? Thank you very much, everybody. I appreciate you. I wish you all the best of luck, and I look forward to working with you. Have a good day.